Hello YouTubers! Time for another video in which I talk about some records that I recently purchased and also, talk about them a bit. A couple of months ago I got the box. It was a 3 LP box, 3 record box with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the original radio series, but issued in a very luxurious box with the 3 LPs, 3 records, as I said, in red vinyl, with the first season of that radio series, the original radio series from BBC, 1978 or 79, something like that. Wonderful issue, and of course they announced that the second season would also be issued in the same way, in a luxurious box with colored vinyl with 1 episode on each side. I didn't expect it to be issued as fast, but actually I found out, it had been issued already back in October. So, well, I ordered it. Took some time for it to get here, but now I got it and I've listened through it. Of course, I've heard the radio series back in time on, both CDs and on cassettes even, but this time presented on vinyl. I'm so happy because I'm a great fan of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and as you know, I'm even a greater fan of vinyl records. So, this is what the second box looks like. Similar style when it comes to design. Let's see if I can actually show you. Lots of new artwork. Very pleasant. A bit of an essay here. Bit to read. More artwork, more artwork, more artwork. Then some more text. The making of the secondary phase. And you see, you get a lot in this box, and more artwork, and more artwork, and then finally you get to the 3 LPs in this box. And this the first season was on red vinyl, this is on orange vinyl, and of course it's the same actors more or less as the first season. This was I think it was recorded in 79-80. It was first broadcast, I think, during a week's time on BBC in 1980. I mean, they had 1 episode every night. I think that's a bit odd, odd way to present a radio series. But of course, it has been it's had many reruns since then. And this was the second season, as I said, and the last season up until Douglas Adams passed away in 2001. But then a couple of years later, I think it was in 2003, 2004, they made yet another season, and then another season, and I don't know how many seasons, but after a long break, I haven't heard this, but there was a hexagonal season made in last year. That's the 6th season, I think. I haven't heard that one. I've only heard season 3 and season 4 apart from these 2. They are all right though, but I can't help it. I miss good old Peter Jones as the voice of the book. So I read that they plan to issue the next season on the vinyl box as well. Not sure if I will get it though. Not sure, because the first 2 seasons are my favorite. To be quite honest, I actually like the first season a bit more than I like the second one, but still. Yes, that about that. Then let's be a bit more international. I managed to get hold of a bunch of nice reissues of Brazilian classical records. I'm not talking about classical music, but classical albums by great Brazilian artists. Many of you know, well, should know that I'm very fond of Brazilian music, and one of the artists I love most is the singer Gal Costa. It's fairly easy to get hold of her albums from the late 70s and 80s, and they're all great, of course. They sold well, and of course, Gal Costa, with her sensual voice and delivery, who wouldn't buy her records, to be quite honest? The earliest ones from the late 60s and early 70s are quite tricky to get hold of. Her first album, which I thought was, well, I'm not sure if it was her first, but I think it was her first solo album. Was it's called Gal, I think, from 1969. That was actually reissued a couple of years ago, but I wasn't clever enough to realize that, oh, you should get this, because you see, the original is rather tricky to get hold of, so I didn't. But I'm sure I get hold of a copy sooner or later. But anyway, two other early albums that I wanted to have for a long time is Legal from 1970 and India from 1973. I mean, Gal Costa was, during these years, quite a controversial figure. I mean, she was very brave. I mean, she openly criticized the Brazilian, well, rulers, so to speak, and that was a bit dangerous back then, and she took a lot of beating for it. Not talking about physical beating, but her artistry took a bit of beating from it, but during those years, she issued a couple of really great albums, but they have been difficult to get hold of. But now I've managed to get hold of two fairly recent reissues. First, it's Legal from 1970. This is a Spanish reissue from 2018, I think. Yeah. On the Elemental Music label, even though it has the original Philips label. It looks just like the old original. Great album, and so happy I found it. She was great even back then. And then the second one, if you blush easily, you should look away, because I'm not going to show you the back sleeve, but I could show you the front sleeve. It's a quite famous album sleeve. The YouTube might object if I show the back sleeve. No, so on. Anyway, well, this album cover was censored also in Brazil back in 1973. They had just a blue album with a I think it was Gal or India or something written on it. But despite that, it's a great album, especially the title track India is so beautiful and amazing in all ways. And this is I think this is a British reissue from last year. There has been other more or less unofficial reissues earlier, but I didn't get hold of those either. But now, finally, I've been looking quite actively for this album for maybe, well, at least 4 or 5 years. So very happy I got it, and I have to say I'm not the least disappointed. It's really, 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 really good. So that, yeah. By the way, when I listened to the India album, I also uploaded a picture on Instagram. I don't know, they're not maybe a bit risky. They don't like nudity that much, but still. Anyway, I've seen other pictures of this album on Instagram, and well, got some likes, of course, because more people than I know that this is a great album, including a like from Gal Costa herself. Whoa, I'm starstruck. Well, I've heard her interview that she said that it had been reissued without any censored sleeve, and that both, well, to our delight, including my own delight, it was reissued. So the rest of the Brazilian albums I got, many of them are very famous. Singer that was really big back in the 70s and 80s, that also Gal Costa cooperated with now and then. There's a lovely clip on YouTube where this artist invites Gal Costa up to the stage to sing with him, and it's of course Jorge Ben. And this is an album called Ben from 1973, same year as India. It is also a reissue from Elemental Music, which I think was a Spanish company, but it has the Philips label, as you can see. Jorge Ben, I first heard him back in the early 90s when I bought a compilation CD with Brazilian hits, and been a great fan of him since then. And now over to a singer maybe not as famous as the previous ones, but still a great artist. I'm talking about Celia Cruz, or Celia as she's called on this album, on the Continental label, originally from 1972, although this is also a reissue of later years. She's not as famous as singers like Gal Costa or Elis Regina or Maria Bethania, but still, why not? Great singer. I'm glad I found it. Her albums aren't that easy to find, especially not up here in the cold north. Over to another classical Brazilian album, Caetano Veloso from 1968, originally on Philips. This is a reissue on the Russian label Lilith. I haven't listened to this yet, so I can't really say how good it is. I mean, I know that the music is amazing because, well, Caetano Veloso, a legend, still alive, still performing as far as I know. I saw him earlier last year as a guest artist on Eurovision Song Contest when he sang a duet with Salvador Sobral, who had won the Eurovision Song Contest the year before. So he showed that he still could perform and sing well. And this is, I'm not sure if it's his first album, but it's an album from 1968, originally on Philips. As I said, Lilith is a bit uneven, let's say, that when it comes to the quality of their pressings and the reissues. Some have been alright, some have been a bit less alright, but I hope this is fairly good. I will listen to it later and then I'll know. And also then from Brazil, an album from the originally on the Quartin label, produced by Roberto Quartin. It's Obnoxious by Jose Moro. A bit obscure. Haven't heard that much of Jose Moro before, so I was glad I found this. Not that easy to find material by him nowadays. It is a reissue made by. Why am I looking at? It is a reissue from the Far Out Recordings label. That is fairly recent. I think the original was recorded and issued back in 1970. Okay, let's take a short jump out in the world, leaving Brazil, going to Africa, to Ethiopia, actually. Ethiopian Soul and Groove, a very interesting compilation album on the Heavenly Sweetness label. I haven't listened to this yet, but I think I will find it interesting because I get more and more interested in the music from different cultures, from other parts of the world. And I have to say that this part of the world I haven't explored much, but what I've heard so far has been very interesting. Why am I keep saying the word interesting all the time? Yeah, because I think music is incredibly interesting, and I think there's a big chance that I will enjoy this as well. And finally, an artist that passed away some time ago. It's a compilation album with a French singer, France Gall. Looks like this. I'm quite sure that I have most of the songs from this album. It is a lot of material by Serge Gainsbourg from the mid 1960s, and including the Poupée de cire, Poupée de sang, her most famous song from 1965 that she won the Eurovision Song Contest with. But still, I couldn't really resist this issue. Also with a lovely sleeve, with a young, pretty France Gall. One great Yeye girl from France back then. I have a weakness for the Yeye girls, and who hasn't? All right, that's all for now. I hope you found this somewhat interesting, and hope to see you all soon again, as soon as possible. Bye for now. Bye bye, and thanks for watching.